what is the mean marks? So this is another column in your data, and there we can just, we're calculating what the mean marks are. You can ask much more interesting questions, obviously, because that's why we analyze data in the first place. Like, we want to look at interesting associations and interesting observations. So if we wanted to know, are the marks of diplomats higher than that of doctors? For example, that's a question that we might ask of the data. And so I said there that this code looks difficult, don't worry about it. So don't worry about it, I just want to show you what R can do and how easy it is. That in a few lines of code you can get that answer. Whereas in Excel, for example, to get that answer, if some of you have done it before, this is now the point where you're going to say insert pivot table, and you are going to try to remember how that works and what must go where. And that may be your favorite thing to do, but in R it's a much less manual process, and you always have the code again. So when you want to do it again, you just run this code again, and also you remember that that's what you calculated, whereas in Excel there's usually no trail of all the different things you did. Anyway, that's a different subject. If I run, so this is all one bit of code. So if I put my cursor there and I run it, you see the cursor jumps here because all of this follows on each other. This is all one thing that's happening. It's got a few different functions. You'll see filter followed by a round bracket. You'll see group by and summarize. So it's 3 different functions. But with this sign, we tell it to run in sequence without stopping first. So that's why it jumps all the way here and it runs all of it. And this is the answer we got. So remember, our question was, are the marks of diplomats higher than the marks of doctors? And basically what we did here was to calculate the mean of the marks of the diplomats, of which there were 6, and the mean of the marks of the doctors, of which there were 9. And so we get our answer that the mean marks of the doctors seem to be a little bit higher. We might want to know what are the names of the soldiers. So we saw there were some soldiers, there were 5 soldiers. What if we wanted to know exactly who they were? And we wanted to know their names, so it's the same idea as here. It's just it's a string of functions that we can write, and we run them all in sequence, and very easily we find that these were the names of the soldiers. So the only other way to have done that would have been to open the file and manually look for them, or filter, you may be familiar with in Excel. Similarly, who is the youngest maybe? We run this line of code, and what it did was to arrange the people by age. So it printed the top 10, or not the top 10, the 10 youngest people, because that's what we told it to do, but we told it to sort them by age. And so it shows us that there's a Monique here, and she's 18, and she's the youngest in this data set. These lines of code, these functions, I'm not going to explain. It's clearly a little bit complicated what's going on there, and you're not going to be expected to write these functions during this course. I just wanted to show you how easy it is in R, or how quick it is. I realize it doesn't look easy, but when you understand what's going on, I mean, you write these things over and over again, but it's quick to get really interesting answers about your data.